All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Rachakwadasha, giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Shalom to the elect of Israel, or the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, whom the Lord will have mercy on in these latter days. Shalom to the men of the Lord that are prophesying, preaching, and teaching on the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. Shalom, shalom. And I wanted to bring here just more end-time prophecy. This here is related to the mark of the beast. So I got a couple precepts in Revelation lined up, but you can see the headline that says Philippines to roll out national ID as surveillance state spreads across the world. Now that's a very, very heavy statement because China has started this already. If you know about China, their CCTV, or what they call closed circuit television, is basically a giant surveillance state, man, with facial recognition software. And China is starting what you call a social score, where people can be tracked. Jaywalking. They'll recognize your face, or maybe you were rude, or you did something that they deem out of order. They could track you where you are, and they can penalize you for it. All right, because China has probably the world's most cell phones in the world, per person, I would say, and they're very, very juiced in. There's a lot of electronic payments in China, and that spread over to India as well too. One of the largest electronic pay providers, I believe, I forget the name of it, is based out of China, and they expanded into India. And combined, India and China have about 3.5 billion people, man. You know, that's almost half the world population just in those two countries. And now you see Philippines are following suit, and it's all based on this thing right here, the COVID-19 crisis and worldwide lockdowns. So it says the COVID-19 crisis and worldwide lockdowns have afforded governments across the planet to the opportunity to implement measures of population control that were unimaginable only a few years ago and relegated to Hollywood's most dystopian productions, right? So you see how quickly this thing has come for all you non-believers that you don't think this thing is real, that the mark of the beast is not the microchip, that there's no end game, that it's a philosophy, it's an embargo. No, this literal technology is being rolled out at a breakneck speed, what Esau would say, because there's a lot of people in the Philippines too, man. Let me see if I can get. What's the population out there? 106 million people, man. So that's more than most countries, That's more than England. That's more than France, you know. That's more than Nigeria, according to this. Well, no, not Nigeria. It's more than Vietnam. All right. And look, Indonesia is 267 million. They're right next door. That this is Indonesia right here. This little island between Malaysia and the Philippines. That's Indonesia. So this thing could spread to millions and millions across the globe very, very quickly, man. That's what you brothers have to understand, is that this beast thing, it's a system, and you have to realize this is a serpent that's doing it. So it's very underhand. You're not necessarily going to see, a bunch of military troops marching all over the place for the global takeover, but it's being done subtly, and it's going to start, you know, with the technology and the money. All right. So it says the Philippines Statistics Authority, PSA, the central organism tasked with collecting, compiling, and analyzing data in the Southeast Asian nation, has begun a large-scale house-to-house canvassing operation to pre-register 9 million heads of households and other adults in the country's lowest income brackets. Ooh, man, the lowest income brackets. You see what they're doing? Now, what is that going to mean over here in America? Who's in the lowest income bracket here? All right. See, the Satan is desiring us, man, the Jakes, the descendants of Jacob, the Israelites, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. And best believe that serpent Esau Edom is at the head of this whole thing. All right. It says, due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the flagship program initially will initially be carried out in regions where COVID cases are low, and only on a voluntary basis. Despite reportedly widespread support for the new system, upwards of 70%, concerns over privacy have dogged the identification system since it was mandated by the Philippine Identification System Act. It's signed into law by President Rodrigo Duterte in 2018. So, there it is, 2018. This identification system was signed into law, showing you that, you know, through the spirit they've been planning this whole thing, man. They always make up some bullshit. They create a problem and then they offer you the solution, and go, see how much you need us, see how much the world needs the government, you know. But all the while they're they're seeking to destroy you and take over. All right. And I'll keep this short. You brothers can read the rest of this article. This is on Mint Press News. Um, wow, look, it says here the PSA aims to enroll 108 million Filipinos by the end of 2022. Hey, he's coming, man, and who knows what other countries fall into that before then. This is all prophesied, man. This is Revelation 13, and I'll start at 11 actually. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon." Okay, that's America. That's the West. You know that dragon is those two horns. I mean, that's the left and right wing philosophies of this place. You got Democrat, Republican. You got left. You got right. You got liberal, conservative, however you want to call it. But those are those two horns, and he spake as a dragon. All right, and speaking as a dragon means he's speaking things that are going to be draconian to us, that are going to be oppressive to us. All right, but he's going to make it. He's going to try to make it sound cunning and smooth. It says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, which was essentially Roman Empire, which this is a reincarnation of that, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. All right, because they all worship the Roman way of life, man. This whole thing is based off of Rome. From the pagan holidays to Christmas to Easter, Valentine's Day, uh, the legal system. All right, the architecture. You know, and the fact that they're expanding. As an empire. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. As we all know, he's got the power to drop nukes. He dropped nukes on Japan. It started there, and he's been bombing the hell out of everybody ever since, man. They have contests. How many bombs can we drop this year? He's got drones. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. All right. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. So this image is being crafted right now, man, through this whole global formation of the world. Starting with the end of World War II, the International Bank of Settlements, the UN. The European Union that came out of it, NATO that came out of it after the Cold War. Slowly but surely forming this global empire. And you know what? All of these nations, have bought into it. China's a part of the UN. The Philippines are part of the UN. The majority of countries in Africa are part of the UN. South American countries are part of the UN. And they all use the U.S. dollar, and that's that main weapon that he's using. To force people into that image. All right, you can see how this thing is being spoken about in prophecy. It makes more sense. Verse 15, it says, and he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, because now you have the UN, you have the World Health Organization. Now it's all under the guise of Esau Edom, and America is funding the vast majority of it, right? But where is this coming from? It's coming from International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, the UN. So these global entities that they've created, they're speaking through them. But ultimately, man, it's the whore, that sit on the beast, that's funding everything, controlling everything, manipulating everything. All right, and at the end of the day, that whore is going to be dealt with. The other nations are going to hate the whore, as Scripture say. All right, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's why a lot of that war is going on over in the middle of the East, because the Iranians are like, fuck you. you know, Russia is playing war games with them. They're in the UN, but they're vehemently uh, uh, vehemently opposed to America, Slovakia. Um, and we all know this part, verse 16. And he calls it all small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that mark is their physical mark. You see this thing coming to fruition as you see to roll out national ID as surveillance state spreads across the world. All right. And they're going to have eyes on you. They're going to have what you call blockchain technology. All right. All of this is going to be a means to bring in that mark. All right. Yeah, I believe there's another article that I went on Blacklisted News. I got that from one of the elders. Um, where was it? Right there, bam. Bank of Japan joins Fed and ECB in preparing rollout of digital currency. The first it was Fed, then the ECB, now the BOJ, which is the Bank of Japan. Uh, and the Fed is the Federal Reserve here, and the ECB is the European Central Bank. The world's central banks are quietly preparing to unleash digital currencies on unsuspecting population, and one final last-ditch attempt to spark inflation and do away with the current monetary orthodoxy, which is the U.S. dollar. All right, that's going away, man. And there's a very good chance once they do that, they wipe that off. They're gonna have that. They're gonna have conditions. they're gonna have, they're gonna have requirements, prerequisites for you to get that to get that new money. All right. It ain't gonna be just convert all your money. Watch how Esau Edom gets down, man. I'm telling you, uh, which has failed to push living conditions of the masses higher, but most importantly has failed to inflate away and growing mountain of insurmountable global debt. And why has it failed? Because they did it on purpose, man. They print money into oblivion. They don't back the currency by anything, you know, and they give it to the people who do nothing but do things that destroy the earth, man. Those bankers, those pharmaceutical companies, defense contractors. This is why it's failing because they suck at running a kingdom, and they're the wicked. It's literally just in them to do this, you know. Let me get this last precept. This is Revelation 18. All right, because see, all of these nations are doing this. The Philippines are joining suit because ultimately they want to participate in that new money, man. You know, they're playing ball. They don't want to be cut out. They want to profit off of America, and that's why they're going along with it. All right. It says this is Revelation 18:9. It says, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning." All right. This is after the Most High has destroyed America, have utterly just nuked this place into oblivion. These other countries like the Philippines, they're gonna cry, man. You know how many like Nike factories and apparels are out there in the Philippines, and they're making money hand over fist. Those companies out there, They're gonna convert to this new currency, and they're gonna want to get in on it, on that trade, because America is a consumer nation. All right, America consumes 5 times more than they make up in population, man. They consume 5 times more than anyone else on average, the Americans. All right, and it's at a very high volume. It's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars a year, man. And these other nations are all getting a piece of that, and they don't care at what cost. All right, it says standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, "Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come." All right, it says, "And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore." All right, and in the Philippines, man, that like they what's their top export? I'm came right up. Okay, integrated circuits. Look at that, 18 billion, 4 billion. You know, so they make a lot of electrical equipment, microprocessors, things of that nature. There's a lot of sweatshops out in that area too, but it may not be in the Philippines. It could be in Indonesia or Malaysia, more so. And who do you think is buying all this stuff, man? Who do you think is buying all of this? Yeah, the most of that is technology. And Africa don't have technology to be buying all this stuff. These are Western nations, Esau, Edom's nations. All right. So the scriptures are on point here. It says, "For no man buyeth her merchandise," in verse 11, chapter 18, verse 11. It says, "The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thyine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble." Man, you marble manufacturers are going to be out, man, because the vast majority of marble houses are over here in the States, man. You got some out throughout Europe, but they're going to be hurt. It says, "And the fruits," oh, Salaki, I skipped. It says, "And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men." Because I believe through the spirit the most human trafficking is going on over here too. And it really goes back into the slave trade. America bought up all these slaves, you know, and so did England, especially when you include Haiti and islands in the Caribbean. But I think they're buying up a lot of children, a lot of pedophilia, freakism is going on, and human trafficking. Let's get that real quick. Whoo, $150 billion in illegal profits each year, man. Oof. And that's what they can track. That's illegal, So that they don't have. It's not officially a reported number. That number could be triple that, quadruple that. All right. So in the souls of men, as it says right here, it says, "And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all the things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and say, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. It says, for in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? All right, and this is one example of that, man. So I just wanted to share that with you. The mark of the beast is rapidly approaching. You know, as the scriptures say. Actually, I'll just go to it real quick here. I believe it's in 18:4. Yep. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. And that's the message, brothers, that we come out of this place, because the mark of the beast prophecies are speaking very, very loudly right now. All right. So with that, hopefully y'all brothers were edified. I want to say call halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Chakadash Wa Abad Babal Shalom.